So it is that time of year again. The Christmas season has obviously begun, and so I have another plan and prep video for you guys. This is for the Gather Round Christmas Around the World mini unit. Alright, so it is just a few days after Thanksgiving. I'm actually kind of shocked that we have our Christmas tree up and running. I don't have any other Christmas decorations out, but at least the tree is up. And I wanted to encourage you all that it is not too late to plan and prep for a Christmas unit or an Advent unit in your homeschool. I am literally throwing this together yesterday and today, and we are super excited to dig into the new Gather Round Christmas Around the World mini unit. Now, most of you probably remember that we did the original Gather Round Christmas mini unit last December alongside of the Christmas unit from Campfire Curriculums. We did both of them together side by side. And it was such a special time in our homeschool. It just filled the month of December with so much excitement and fun and joy in our learning. And it really helped to amp up my kids and get them really excited for Christmas and really dug deep into what the meaning of Christmas is. And so I did not hesitate. As soon as I saw this new unit was out from Gather Round, I jumped on it, and I am so excited to share it with you all today. All right, so let's talk through the basics of this unit in case you're not super familiar with this unit from Gather Round. It is a 12-lesson unit, and you are meant to do one lesson per day, and it is studying 12 different countries and the traditions that they do there to celebrate Christmas. So for example, in lesson 1, you will start out by studying the country of Iceland, and you will talk about its population and where it's located on a map. And then you will go through and talk about how that culture celebrates and prepares for Christmas. At the end of the lesson, you will jump in and it will say, what does the Bible say? And there is a short Bible study that you can do together as a family that connects to what you were learning about for the country. So this study very much reminds me of some of the connecting continent studies that we have done previously, Asia, Africa, that sort of thing. And so I really think that this is going to be a fun blend of Christmas and geography and cultural studies. Now, as a mini unit, it is smaller than the full Gather Round units, and so the kids only have 3 worksheets that they have to complete in their notebooks. There is the normal first page notebooking page where they can take notes and draw pictures as they are listening to you read. And then there are 2 additional activity or worksheets that they will be doing together. All right, so let's talk about printing and organizing to get ready for this unit. Now, first and foremost, I went to the Gather Round website and I purchased and downloaded the digital family bundle of the Christmas unit. While I was there, I actually went ahead and purchased a couple of other extras. I did also go ahead and purchase the Recipes Around the World cookbook to go along with this, as well as the Ornaments Around the World. And I'm planning on using both of those alongside of this unit study. Once I downloaded all of the files, I went ahead and printed them out 2-sided in color on 24 weight paper on our Brother printer. You guys know how much I love our printer. It's an ink tank style printer that we've had for 2 years now and absolutely love. I will make sure to leave a link for it down below. Once I had everything printed, I went into organization mode and I did things a little bit differently this time. I think I have finally nailed down my groove. For my kids, I printed out their student notebooking pages and put them in white 3-ring binders. These are the type with just the little clear plastic sheet in the front. I buy these in bulk on Amazon or at Costco. So I made each one of my kids a 3-ring binder with their student notebooking pages. Now I do use a heavy duty 3-hole punch. I love this thing. I've had it, oh gosh, probably for 5 years now. It will punch around 40 pages of paper at one time, and so it just really streamlines the process and makes it super easy to get the kids' notebooks put together. And then I went ahead and splurged splurged and had my teacher guide and recipe book spiral bound together. I went ahead and went over to our local copy store. It cost me $4.99 to have this done. They put a really nice clear plastic cover on the front, which is super helpful for me. I tend to spill coffee often. It's just black on the back, and I have found that spiral binding the teacher guide actually works really well for our family. My kids tend to pass this book around a lot as they are working on their student pages, just to reference material and different things in the teacher guide, and it's just kind of nice to have it a little bit more sturdy and not just, you know, 3-hole punched. The other thing is it enables me to lay it flat on the table or just look at one page at a time. And I feel like that this will last a lot longer. I can save it and use it in years to come, as I want to reuse some of these gather round units. Now, something that was a little bit different this time around, it was a little bit confusing for me when I first downloaded the files. The planning pages, the supply lists, the book lists, those type of things were not included in the original teacher guide. Instead, on the letter to the teacher page, there was a online resource QR code to scan that where you could access those files. They're also available on the Gather Round website to download for free. So I did go ahead and download those pages as well, and went ahead and added them to the notebook just so I could have it all in one place for myself. So I did go ahead and add the suggested book list, the supply list, and the teacher planning pages. Now, speaking of the supply list, I did want to mention here to make sure that you take a look at that before you jump in and start this unit study. Now, normally the gather round units that we have used in the past, most of the supplies that you need, a typical homeschooler is going to have on hand in their school supplies, their kitchen supplies, around their house somewhere. But I will say for this unit, there are definitely some extras that maybe you wouldn't have normally regularly available. For instance, straw, advent candles, dowels, colored tissue paper. There's just a few things for some of the activities that fall outside the realm of normal supplies. So make sure you take a look at this list. I was able to get everything I needed in one stop at the Dollar Tree. So it didn't cost very much. It didn't take me very long, but make sure you look at the supply list. Okay, so in case you are curious what levels my kids are each using from this unit study, my two older kids who are in 7th and 8th grade, they are currently ages 12 and 14. They are both going to do pages from the middle school notebooking pages. And then Mariah, my 8-year-old who is in 2nd grade, she is going to go ahead and do the early reader pages. Now, in the past, I have printed out coloring pages from the pre-reader pages for my toddlers who are currently 2 and 3 to color and use while we're working on our unit. This time around, though, I was a little bit disappointed to see that the pre-reader pages, they're pretty intense. They're pretty, intense notebooking pages. They aren't just a coloring sheet. And so that is not going to be an option this time, so I'm not printing anything for Ezra and Ava. I just did the 3 notebooks for the 3 older kids. Now, because this is a mini unit, it is only 12 lessons long, and I only have about 3, maybe 4 pages to read from the teacher guide every day. And then the kids only have 3 worksheets to do in their student notebook. So all in all, I am planning for us to spend around 2 hours a day on our gather round study. I'm sure you could do it faster, or you could probably, linger and spend a lot more time in it. But I'm shooting for about 2 hours a day. All right, so let's talk about books. Extra books, additional books that you can use to pair alongside of this unit study. As always, Gather Round provided a nice long book list to go along with this unit study. They have given, anywhere from 4 or 5 different books to go along with each one of the lessons. I will say that I was pretty disappointed by this book list this time around. I know that these have all been vetted through Gather Round and are good books, but I have just had a very difficult time finding most of them. We have a very extensive library system here in our city, and a lot of these books just were not carried at our library. So I don't know if these are books that are maybe more available in Canada and not so much here in the Midwest of the United States. Maybe it's just something local. I don't know, but I had a very difficult time finding a lot of these books. Now, that being said, there is a line of books I do want to highlight that I think are great to go along with this unit. These are from World Book and they are Christmas in. So for instance, there is Christmas in Spain, Christmas in Ukraine, Christmas in Switzerland. I went ahead and picked up this one, Christmas in America's Capital. And these are just jam-packed full of information and photos, pictures, all kinds of things about each one of the different countries. I actually have a few more on hold from our library that I'm hoping are going to come in by the time we do those lessons with the kids. But this was on the Gather Round list, and I just think these books are wonderful. Now, that being said, I of course have a huge stack of books over here that I'm going to share with you today. A lot of these are books that I already had on hand or that I was interested in, picture books that I just want to put in a book basket for my kids to use during the month of December. Okay, so as you can see, a lot of those books are not necessarily, Christmas around the world themed. They are just Christmas themed. They're just books that we like and are going to use in the month of December. As far as read-alouds and books that I'm going to be handing off to my kids to read, first up I wanted to share The Atlas of Christmas, The Merriest, Tastiest, Quirkiest Holiday Traditions from Around the World by Alex Palmer. I picked this up from our library and I think this will be really great, especially for my middle schoolers to use. I am envisioning them using this as a reference book, especially if there's a country that they're interested in that we didn't study. Let's say they want to know some Christmas traditions from Japan. They could look up Japanese Christmas traditions in this book and read just a couple of pages about it. So I think that this will be a great reference tool for my older kids. And then speaking of them, I am going to ask them both to read a book for the month of December. I'm going to let each one of them have one of these. These are books that I've read aloud to them before, but I think would be appropriate for them to read on their own this year. This is Jotham's Journey, a storybook for Advent, and then the other one is Bartholomew's Passage, a family story for Advent. This is kind of the continuation of Jotham's Journey, or a sequel kind of to it. These are definitely a little bit more intense, definitely meant for older elementary into middle school and high school. There are some kind of graphic scenes that happen that could be a little bit scary for younger kids, but I'm going to have Noah and Leah read these on their own just as kind of a literature to go alongside of this unit study. And then for Mariah, my second grader who is 8 years old, I have Merry Christmas, Amelia Bedelia by Peggy Parrish. This is not quite a chapter book. It's more just like an extended picture book with several sentences on every page, but we love the Amelia Bedelia stories, so she can work on reading this. I'm also thinking about asking her to maybe read with me, or I might read this aloud just to her, or maybe to everybody. I don't know. We will see. Tum Tum and Nutmeg's Christmas Adventure. We absolutely love the series of Tum Tum and Nutmeg. We've read several of the books, so this would be a really fun read for elementary school, or just as a read aloud. Now, speaking of read alouds, I'm really excited to jump back into read alouds. As you probably know, I've mentioned on here recently that I have not been doing any reading aloud to my kids for the last few months. I've heavily relied on audiobooks. And so I'm really hoping in the month of December to change that. I have visions of us curled up on the couch around the fireplace, just reading for long amounts of time during, the month of December. So I have a nice little chunk of books I'm hoping to read aloud to the kids. You guys might have known I bought this during an Amazon haul over the summer, The Vanderbeekers on 141st Street. This was a book that I had bought if Noah and Leah wanted to read it on their own, but I just went ahead and decided to do it as a read aloud. This one was suggested on the Gather Round read aloud list, so we're going to try to tackle this. Next up is The Last Holiday Concert by Andrew Clements. This is a book I've seen a lot of other homeschool mamas talking about, especially around the holidays, so this will be a great read aloud. This next book I've had on our reading list for a really long time. We've just never gotten to it. The Family Under the Bridge. This is illustrated by Garth Williams. My kids love his illustrations for the Little House on the Prairie series, so hoping to get to this one as well this month. And then one more that I could read aloud or even hand off to the kids to read on their own, The True Gift, A Christmas Story. One last vein of books I'm hoping to pair along with this unit is poetry. I like to read a couple of poems or short stories to the kids every morning if I have time, and so I do have a couple of poetry books to share with you. First up is It's Christmas by Jack Pruletsky. You guys know that this is one of our favorite poets around here. Noah has been interested in him since he was about, 6 years old. So this is an oldie but a goodie, but we love Jack Pruletsky's poetry. Now, this last one is a little bit beefier. I'm not planning on reading this whole thing, but I do want to draw from this. I found this at our library. It's a Christmas treasury of Yuletide stories and poems. This is just chock full of very classic Christmas tales and poetry. On the back here, it lists many of the authors included. There are stories from Laura Ingalls Wilder, Robert Frost, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Shakespeare. Definitely will not be reading this in its entirety, but it will be a wonderful way to kind of introduce my kids to some of the classics and have them for myself to read in my own free time. As far as television, movies, video kind of add-ons to go with this unit, I'm really not planning much of anything this time around. I don't know about you guys, but our family already watches a lot of Christmas movies during the month of December. So I don't feel like my kids really need much encouragement to have extra screen time right around the holidays. That being said, I am planning on utilizing the list on Gather Round's websites on their additional resources page, where they go through and list YouTube links that go along with each one of the countries that we are studying. Again, this is nice because Gather Round has already done the legwork for me and they have kind of pre-vetted these. I know that they're good and that they are family friendly. So we will probably watch a couple of those YouTube videos every day during lunchtime, just kind of a fun little add-on to go along with the country we studied in the morning. All right, so extra activities. Before you start planning too much to go along with this unit, I would definitely encourage you to read page 3 of the teacher guide, the letter to the teacher from Rebecca. In this letter, she shares that this unit is a little bit different than other units and that she has really jam-packed it full of activities and hands-on things for your kids to do. So that being said, I don't feel like I have to put a lot of extra effort into extras to go along with this unit because it is in design already very hands-on. But you guys know me, I can't not do a unit and add my own little flair to it. So I do have some extra things to share with you. First of all, I picked up this drawing book. I have a few others on hold at our library, but I love to get some themed drawing books for my kids to have that they can use while I'm reading aloud to them or reading from the teacher guide. So picking up some drawing books for the kids just for them to, have some fun Christmas drawing to do. Another extra activity that I'm planning on doing every day with the kids to go with each of the lessons are utilizing these Miller pad and paper maps. I have dozens of these, one for every continent, the whole world, all kinds of these. They're only, maybe $1.99 each and you get 25 coloring sheets. Anyways, I like to use these with the kids as we're studying different countries. They find it on the map and color it in, and then we use them every day just to kind of review our geography and the countries we're studying. And then, as I mentioned before, we are going to do 2 of the add-ons from Gather Round every day in our homeschool. First of all, I'm going to try to add in as many recipes from the Recipes Around the World cookbook that I purchased to go along with this unit. So we may not cook something every day, but I'm hoping to do 1 or 2 recipes every week, especially if there's something that really catches the kids' eye or has ingredients that I already have on hand, that sort of of thing. So we will be doing cooking from the recipe book. I'm also planning on having the kids create ornaments every day from the ornaments add-on that I purchased. I printed out each one of the kids a set of ornaments on white cardstock, and I will just have them go ahead and color and decorate those every day and then hang them on their Christmas tree down in the basement. Next up is puzzles, and I have a good little stack here. One of my favorite memories growing up with my grandma when she would come to visit is we would set up a card table and work on a really large puzzle, a 500 piece or 1,000 piece puzzle. She would oftentimes get one that, you know, was seasonal. If it was fall outside, she would get one with fall leaves or something like that. And so this is a tradition I'm trying to pass on to my kids. Leah, my 12-year-old in particular, really enjoys doing puzzles. So I picked up one for just about everybody. This first one I had from last year. This is from Costco. It's a 500 piece nativity scene. Next up, this is one I just bought this year off of Amazon. Again, another 500 piece puzzle. This one is of a train station, so Noah and Ezra will really like that. This next one is a 100 piece puzzle. I bought this one with Mariah in mind, my second grader, that she could do this one on her own. Again, this is just a wintry Christmas scene. This one is from Amazon. I will make sure to link all of these down below. And then lastly, I went ahead and just wanted to pick up a nice chunky puzzle for Ezra and Ava, my toddlers. And so I got this Melissa and Doug Christmas tree puzzle. They will really love doing this at their little puzzle table downstairs. And then speaking of my toddlers, I want to take a few minutes just to specifically talk about them and some things I'm planning on doing with them during this unit. I don't necessarily always have Ezra and Ava, my 2- and 3-year-old, included in all of our homeschool time. Oftentimes they are off on their own playing, or Ezra's at preschool or something like that. But I do want to be intentional, especially because it's Christmas, about having some fun and special activities for them to do while I'm reading aloud or while I'm doing a gather round lesson. First of all, while I was at the Dollar Tree picking up supplies, I went ahead and picked up just a little small pack of cookie cutters. I'm going to let them use these with some green and red Play-Doh at the table. Again, just a nice little hands-on activity for them to do while I am reading, kind of sensory related. Speaking of that, I'm also going to create 2 sensory bins for them. One with our instant snow. That was such a big hit with them last year with all of our little winter animals mixed into it. And then I'm also planning on just doing one made out of white cotton balls or pom-poms. Maybe throw in some jingle bells and just some other little pine cones, Christmas related items in a little bin for them to play through and sort. Like so many of you, I also own the Little People Nativity set, so I will set that out for them to play with. And then we also own the Playmobil Nativity scene. I'm not even sure if that one's still available or if you can find it. We've had it for, gosh, probably 15 years at this point. But I will definitely set out a couple of play nativity sets for them to play with. While I was at the Dollar Tree, I went ahead and picked up just some Christmas stickers. My plan for these is to just set out some blank cards and envelopes with some crayons and let my little ones just color and use as many stickers as they want. And these will be fun gift tags or Christmas cards to give to grandparents and other family members. Again, something to keep them busy, but also something productive that we can gift to someone that will really enjoy it. Another goodie that I found at the Dollar Tree were these little felt finger puppet kits. I thought this would be a fun craft for them to do maybe with one of the bigger kids one afternoon, and then this could be another item that they could play with while I'm reading aloud. Kind of along that same vein, I have one of those large rolls of paper. I'm planning on rolling that out on the floor a couple of days and letting them color and put stickers on it. And then that's something that they could use as wrapping paper to wrap a present for a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle. Homemade wrapping paper. That's actually something that's included in one of the lessons. I think maybe lesson 1 from Gather Round is homemade wrapping paper. So that's something fun you can do for your toddlers that they would really enjoy. Okay guys, well that's it. That wraps up all of my planning and prepping for this Gather Round mini unit. Stay tuned. I will definitely be doing a day in the life video as we are doing one of these lessons from Gather Round. around. So that should be coming out in the next week or two. So make sure you stick around. I hope that you guys are enjoying getting ready for Christmas and doing something special for the holidays in your homeschool. See you later.